Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the DucksNPucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have a jam-packed 4th of July show for you. Hopefully you're eating a hot dog, drinking a beer, a mixed drink, something, partying by the pool or backyard barbecue, or I don't know, something. Hopefully you're having fun while you listen to this. We've got so much stuff to cover on the show. We're going to talk about the logo and jersey reveal with the Ducks. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft. Eddie actually got to go out to Vegas, so we'll talk about his experience there. We'll talk about free agency, kind of what didn't happen, and then now some stuff has happened. Some other things around the league, and then we're going to kind of do a Where Are They Now segment with a lot of the former Ducks on other teams. So we got so much stuff to dive into, but as I talked about right in the beginning, hopefully you're maybe poolside with a cold one or something like that, and you're hanging out and hopefully enjoying the 4th of July. Maybe you're at home with friends or going somewhere. So that leads me to the question that we always talk about. Eddie, what are you drinking?
I actually poured a shot before our show. I want to take it on the show. It's a shot glass out of the Draft 24 shot glass I bought. So cheers to everyone listening. And I'm cracking open a Happy Dad live on the show. What are you drinking, Mike? And I can only guess it's vodka Red Bull, but tell me what kind of vodka you're drinking.
It is vodka Red Bull, and usually my choice, it's either Tito's or what else do I have in there? I'm trying to think. Tito's is usually the main one, or Kettle One. That's right. So I haven't had that many yet. Sorry, my brain's going. No, but yeah, usually Kettle One or Tito's. I kind of go back and forth. It's Tito's right now, so. It's been my fan favorite. So, yeah, I'm having that right now. Everything's good. Excited. Been very, very busy. Eddie and I, we talked about doing a show before the free agency, and I'm glad we didn't, because now there were some moves and things that, we can talk about that the Ducks are doing. And I know a lot of you out there are not happy with Verbeek and kind of what's going on. We'll hopefully put you at ease with some things and maybe not with others, because you know how we are on the show. We're pretty realistic with our expectations of what's going on with the Ducks. There's some things I'm very, very happy about, and some things maybe not so much, and I know Eddie's the same boat. But let's talk about, we'll get to you going to Vegas and everything in just a second, but we have to start out with the rebrand, Eddie. For me, I was super excited about this. Eddie, you alluded to stuff being leaked, and we've got different kinds of leaks this time around. We had a Honda Center app leak on that Monday. It ended up being put out on that Wednesday, the 26th of June. Before the draft, obviously on the 28th, but on that Monday they had the logo on the app. They had, if you looked at the preview screen to download, they had the color logo on the app, and I posted that. And then before that, there was a photo of Terry and Fowler in uniforms that was leaked, and everybody wasn't sure. We did a poll on it, which I was really shocked, because I was pretty certain that those were the jerseys, and then obviously they were later on. But we did a poll, and you guys were like almost split. It was like 51 to 49% that you thought it was legit or not legit. Crazy, just barely in favor of being legit, and it ended up being that. But with all that nonsense and craziness being said, and it came out, and the Ducks revealed it, and we can kind of go into that a little bit. But what is your reaction, Eddie, to, I guess, the logo, the home and away jersey? It was pretty popular overall. We had a poll on that too, and it was like almost 80% of you loved the jerseys. A handful of you only liked the away, or you didn't like the home, or vice versa, or whatever. But what did you think about the logo, the jersey, all that? It's been about a week now, but what's your feeling on all this?
I'm going to go ahead and start off by throwing out some negativity. I think the Ducks kind of dropped the ball on waiting so long to go ahead and drop these logos, these jerseys. The leaks were coming out. It kind of ruins the experience for fans. We live in a digital age where Twitter gets us news within seconds and social media blows up. And it seems like they were just dragging this on for the longest time. That's one thing I hate. That's one thing I don't like about it. Number two, too much orange for me. I like darker colors. I like black. I like the really dark home jerseys. I get where the Ducks are coming from, and they want to do this Orange County thing, and they've been wanting to rebrand to go orange all the way. But it looks like you're just either a traffic cone or you're trying to kind of take away what the Flyers have, and the Flyers have been around way longer than the Ducks. Those are the negative things. Let's get on to the positive things. I absolutely ducking love the new rebrand. I love the logos are amazing. The away jersey is my favorite. So it looks perfect. It sucks they're gonna actually throw an advertisement on the away one, and I think it just makes the jerseys look so much trashy. And Ducks are and teams are really that bent on a few $100,000 here and there, then that's their prerogative. But I think it looks great, Mike. I haven't seen the away one in person yet, but I think it's even look better when you see it in person. I got to see really close up, and I'll talk about the draft, but I had a certain friend come up to me and want to take a picture of me, and he's wearing the jersey. I got to see that, touch it, feel it, look at it really in depth, and even the orange one looks amazing. It looks great. It's perfect. The logo, those eyes, I love the eyes. I've made things before with the eyes kind of red and dark and more like just right in your face, right in that attitude, and I love it. It's just something that all fans, I know most of the fans wanted the eggplant color back, but you know what? We got something good. We got something unique. We took the original logo that everyone loves and twisted it up a little bit, and it blew up. That jersey's going to go just bananas. They're going to make a ton of money for it, and I love it. I don't like the orange, a lot of the orange. I wish the pants were black and the helmets were black, but I think the Ducks nailed this out of the park with the logos, especially the away one, and I think we're going to really pop, and I can't wait to see it on TV. I think seeing it in person is different. When you're watching it on TV, those colors and those jerseys are just going to really pop, and it's going to stand out for good. I'm looking forward to what the Ducks are going to do to bring in a third jersey in the near future.
Yeah, and we got word, we talked about that in the last show, there will be a third jersey. It doesn't sound like this season. It sounds possibly like next season. So I'm very curious if it's going to be black or purple. That's kind of what I'm hoping, that they may change up, because you've got all the orange and you've got the white and the orange on the way. I'm with you on the reveal. The reveal, it feels like they timed it out with the Kings. They both released the jerseys and everything on those same days. The Kings did put out their logo a little bit early, than the Ducks did. So yeah, that part, is kind of, I wish that they would have just dropped it out there earlier. There were a lot of logos flying out there that were not exactly what this logo was, but once Isolatics put out their couple videos and hinted at it, everybody started making it. I mean, there were so many different variations of it coming out, and a lot of them were very, very close. But I'm with you on that. I wish they would have done it a little bit sooner. In terms of the logo, I think that they blew this shit out of the water, to be honest. I said that I like this logo better than the original, which some people gave me crap for. We posted a thing just recently too on Facebook to see what people said, and it's interesting. A lot of you like the original logo still better, which, don't get me wrong, I love the original logo. It's the nostalgia. It's the early days of Korea and Solani, Jaguar and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, I love it still. But this new logo, it's badass. Out of all the rebrands, most of these rebrands, I was looking at some of these other logos, like with the Kings and the Leafs and stuff. To me, those logos weren't rebrands. Those are all just throwbacks. They took out a line or changed, like the Kings. They changed the font. Whoop-de-doo. Whatever. Your thing is still a Chevy logo, from the 90s. I mean, that's what it looks like. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I am a Ford guy, but I mean, I like the Kings. I like what they did. I like their jerseys and I like the logo, but it's basically the same thing from the 90s. other than like a fatter stripe and a different font on their Chevy bow tie logo. I mean, that's what it is. To me, it's a throwback. It's not a rebrand. The Ducks did a legit rebrand. I mean, this logo, they changed the color of the sticks. They changed the color of the triangles. They added the orange in the eye. Another thing a lot of people weren't talking about, if you really look at the logos, they changed the black holes on the logo. If you look at the original one, they're more straight lines. If you look at the new one, they're more rounded. And you can see like on the top of the head, the two go more straight up and curve. They actually changed that. It looks a lot better. Then obviously they took out the silver, changed everything over to gold. There's no longer a white line around the circle. I think that they killed it. The logo to me is freaking fantastic. I think it was badass. Now, the jerseys, I'm with you, Eddie. I wish maybe they did do the black pants on the home ones, but then I'm kind of torn because then we look like the Flyers. And the Iceletics said that the Ducks used the same orange that the Flyers just went to. So I'm kind of like, okay, I like the darker orange, but I also don't want to be the same as the Flyers. So I don't know. That part's kind of hard for me. But, I do like what they did overall. I think it's great. If you I saw some people too complaining on the pre-sale because they put out the authentic jersey, which was $500, which is crazy. It's a little rich for my blood too. But if you want the jersey without that sponsor patch, which Eddie and I just love, Cool Hockey's going to have the jerseys in around September. They told us without that, so I'm probably waiting for that. But overall, maybe a little bit too much orange on the home one because also the helmet and the socks and whatnot too. But I thought that they did a fantastic job. We had our buddy, the Mighty Jerseys. He asked, whose name and number are you putting on those jerseys when you get it. I don't know who I'm going to do yet, Eddie. I think probably Gudis because that's the one that my wife and I are really big on. I think he's the one I'm going to throw on there. But what do you think? Whose name are you going to get it blank? Are you going to throw someone's name on there, or what else do you think about these jerseys?
I'm getting it blank. There's not a player that comes to mind where I want to throw it on there and have. So I rather just have it blank, and that works for me. You're right though. That $500 price is a little too pricey just to have the whole what they're wearing. So basically, if you guys don't know, what Adidas had those authentic jerseys, they're in a lawsuit right now because those weren't the ones that the players wore on the ice. They were still authentic and they were still great, but they weren't the actual ones. So when you go down and get the authentic ones and not the pro ones for $200, I believe they were selling for the Ducks, you're getting that same authentic jersey that Adidas would sell, which is still a great jersey. It's pretty much the same damn thing. So I don't know what would be the whole difference is besides the word pro. I felt Adidas on ice jersey and have my authentic one, and I can't tell the difference. It's just those small little subtle things. They're made in Canada instead of Indonesia. I don't know. I don't care. But the thing is too, Mike, with the Ducks, I would have bought both the jerseys and spent the $500. I would have spent the $200 each on both the home and away pre-order ones if they didn't have that advertisement. I'm not going to pay, like I posted on Twitter and a lot of you guys were commenting on, I'm not going to sit there and pay that much money to have an advertisement for free. Either knock some money off our jersey or contact DucksNPucks and shoot us some money every month to sponsor our show, and then we'll throw a sponsor on you, and I will walk around with the authentic jersey and wear your little logo on there. But until then, no, I won't. You know what? I probably wouldn't still do that. I think I have more integrity than that, unless they pay me a substantial amount. Hockey's always been a gentleman's sport full of class, and you're throwing an advertisement. It just looks tacky, and just like I told everybody when this first started happening after the COVID bullshit, that, we're just going to put these little ads in the helmets just to recoup our revenue. And I said it from day one. I'll go back and find the tweet from years ago that this is only the beginning. The jerseys are going to happen. You're going to have another logo coming soon on the pants. You're going to have another logo coming on the socks. It's going to get like Europe. Welcome to the new normal, and people are just eating it up. But, Mike, and the Ducks did post about, if you don't want that whole advertisement, buy the Fanatics Breakaway replica. Those are terrible. I wouldn't wear them. I won a couple jerseys too, Mike, at getting that orange puck, and I gave them to you to give away. I just wouldn't wear them. I don't like them. They're made really cheap, and the quality is not the same. Like even the old school Reebok, well, they weren't replicas. Oh, the Premier jerseys, those were still nice, and those were just almost like the replica ones, and they were really budget friendly for fans that didn't want to go like complete replica, but they wanted something that looks normal on the ice. The Fanatics breakaway ones are just terrible, but overall, we can all chalk this up as the Ducks hit it out of the park with the logo and the rebrand, minus a few like nitpicky things that we're doing. But we could be proud to wear these logos, wear the shirts, wear the sweaters, the hats, some of the hats moving forward. But overall, I think they did a bang-up job.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did great too. The the sponsorship thing too. You're right. Those breakaway or replica whatever jerseys are not good jerseys. I mean, you can get it without the logo, the sponsorship logo, but they're not good. But you know what I wish they would do is do what the Kings did. Is Mercury Insurance has a red and yellow logo. They put their patch on the Kings, but they made it black and silver or black and white, depending on which version of the jersey they have. It blends in. It doesn't stand out. And I think that's the thing that if the Ducks were going to do it, they should have made it orange or black or gold or something to blend in where it doesn't stand out. Because it just, this purple W on the jersey, it just looks dumb. It's just whatever. It is what it is. But I'm going to wait for Cool Hockey and do the $200 ones there. Eddie's right. Those are the best bang for your buck, I would say. And you're right. It's crazy how the other jerseys they were saying were the on ice jerseys, and you're right, they weren't. So I don't know what's going to happen with that with Adidas. They're going to have to figure that out. But it's up to you. You got $500. You want to drop it? That's all you. But I'm going to wait for Cool Hockey and the $200 ones.
And if you have that money, you can go ahead and I'll text you my Venmo or DM you guys. Send me the Venmo for the show, or for Mike and I are drinking stuff for the week. If you guys can afford to drop the $500 on those jerseys, it's no problem. We will accept that graciously. Hey, but Mike, you know what? One more thing on the jerseys.
Yeah,
I missed those Adidas dimples. I think it made those jerseys look a lot sharper, and that was one of the best things and best jersey changes that Adidas did, and I'm going to miss that. I wish Fanatics would have incorporated that into the jersey. That's one thing I'll miss.
Yeah, I agree. There were a lot of people commenting about that on social media, too. I think that was a nice touch on there, and I am going to miss that in the jerseys as well. One other thing, too, that was kind of interesting. I'll mention it now. I mean, I went to the Flock party. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But the president, Aaron Tietz, was on there and he was talking. I thought this was kind of crazy. They said that they spent over 2 years doing the logo, and they had 6 different versions of the sticks that they were trying to figure out for this. So that was crazy to me. And he did confirm, too, which I think someone else had put it out there, but the 2 W's on the sticks do stand for Wild Wing, which I thought was cool. So they did take a lot of time to go into the logo, rebrand it, debate, agonize over it and whatnot. So I do like that. They also redid the webbed D and put it on the shoulder, which Chris J. Campos asked us about that on Instagram. Is it an improvement or whatnot? Yeah, I looked at it. That reminds me of kind of what the Kings did with their logo, right? Like the Kings just changed the font and added a little bit of boldness of color or whatever. The Ducks kind of changed the Web D logo a little bit and then put it on the shoulder. And see, to me, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. If they would have done that and put that as a primary logo, I would have lost my shit. And I think most of you would have lost your shit too. If that Web D, that's the new shoulder patch, would have been the chest, I think it would have been like one of the biggest mistakes ever. So I'm good with them redoing it and throwing it on the shoulder. I don't really see an issue with that. But they did put a lot of thought into it, and I like Eddie said, I think they really killed it overall. And out of all these, rebrands, I think the Ducks did the best, out of all of it. I don't know if you got anything else to add, Eddie, or we'll start talking about your time in Vegas.
No, this new Web D one, I don't really like the ones on the shoulder patch. It looks like the ones that came from that DH Gate China website. It looks kind of cheaply made. That's one thing I don't like. I like the original D logo, and I did like the black D home jerseys. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because the whole color palette, and I like the color black. I still think that the same logo on a black jersey would have looked great and it would have popped. That's my opinion. Even seeing it in person, I'm not that big of a fan of the Web D. But who really focused time on the shoulders? Like, we're just going to focus on the whole focal point of it and the logo. So, yeah, that's just my opinion on that. But good question. I guess it's an improvement. People want change, but I would have been happy just with the normal one.
Alrighty. That'll wrap up our logo jersey discussion. Obviously, we had lots to say. But, obviously during the summer, Eddie and I will talk about our summer plans and what we're doing. And Eddie and then also Aaron, they went to the draft on Friday and that Saturday to check it out. And we'll talk a little bit about the Ducks draft picks. Not so much in depth, but we'll talk about the first round, and then obviously the Ducks made some trades during the draft and kind of give our overall thoughts. But before we jump into that, what did you think about the Sphere, Eddie? I heard a lot of good things about it when you went there. Was that just a crazy experience walking in there and seeing that ginormous screen and everything? Like, how was that?
It was nuts. It was insane. I never seen anything like that. The whole $3.2 billion to make, it was all worth it. I love the experience most, though. Like, the experience of just meeting hockey fans, talking to different fans of different teams, and just having a good time. Me walking in there, right I pulled up to walk up there, I get pulled aside, and I'm looking up, and it's Wild Wing. It's part of the Ducks media, and it's JoJo. JoJo and I, pretty good guy, a good friend. I run into him everywhere. We have nice conversations together. Last time I saw him, we saw each other in Tampa. We ran into each other at the game. We just always run into each other randomly. So it's like I got to talk to him, and he's just like, man, again, I see you. I'm like, yeah, I'm just here. I got to take a picture with Wild Wing. They posted that on the Wild Wing account. That's where I got to see the jersey up close and live. I tried to ask Wild Wing if I can have the jersey, but obviously he told me no. That would have been cool if he gave it to me. But it was a good experience just before I even got in there, Mike. Just running into them. Getting in there was just amazing. So many stands for beer or food. The lines weren't that bad. The restroom lines weren't that bad. It was just aesthetically pleasing. The graphics in that place is just I can't even explain it if you weren't there. I'm looking forward to going there again to watching a show or some kind of concert. I think it's going to be a good experience, but it was cool. Outside the whole Spirit thing, you had a little bit of fans, even though how hot it was, just watching the draft from the outside because they were just displaying that in that big old ball. Like, it was just, it was a great experience, Mike. I wish you were there with me. It was fun running into Aaron, talking to him for a little bit. Unfortunately, I needed some time and some vacation, some kind of stuff, so I didn't stay for the full entire the first round draft. I stood for about 10 or 11 pick, and then I had to go. I was meeting some friends. They were gonna meet me at my hotel, and we're gonna just go out and party and have a good time. But from what I experienced, it was just nothing but perfect. I'm glad I went. I remember last year when they announced that this wouldn't be a live event anymore. I told you on the show that I wanted to go and I want to see it, and I did. Some other news that I wanted to throw out there, I did meet some guy that works for the league, and he couldn't tell me a lot of things, but this is going to be a breaking news that I'll break this on this show that no one else knows about. But this isn't going to be the only and last live draft that's going to happen. The league is planning something special for fans, and what I was told, quote unquote, that the fans will be really excited and enjoy it. So whatever that means from this official that works for the National Hockey League, we should all be excited because how he was explaining it to me in the vague terms he was excited about it too, and he gave me some kind of souvenirs that you can only get if you work for the league. So that was cool for him. Forgot his name, and I probably wouldn't say it in the show, but thank you for that. It was good meeting him, and dude, hockey's awesome. Just, man, I can go on forever, but I'll pass the mic to you, Mike.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys went and had a good time. You and Aaron, Aaron was posting a lot of the stuff on social media. My plan originally was to go with you guys, and unfortunately I had a death in the family, and I had family come in the actual draft weekend on that Friday and Saturday. I had a funeral, and I had a lot of stuff going on Friday and Saturday. So I had you guys do most of the heavy lifting, and then of course Thomas as well, writing all the articles on the draft and everything. So you guys really knocked it out of the park, and I appreciate it because I mean, we work as a team anyways, right? But it's nice to have you guys working together and getting all this stuff out there because there wasn't much I could do Friday, Saturday. I was really busy with family stuff. But as far as the draft and the picks, I thought this was an interesting one. There was some stuff that went on in here. Speaking of Thomas, he wrote his draft prediction articles, and he did have Beckett Sanique is one of those guys in the first round that he thought the Ducks could pick. Eddie and I had talked about the first, round and the Ducks' third overall pick, and we didn't mention him because we thought maybe he would be 8th, 9th, or 10th, and then obviously he ended up being 3rd, and the Ducks picked him, and then they traded up, which was interesting. They traded their 31st and 58th pick for 23rd and took Stan Solberg, 23rd overall, which was kind of an interesting first day of the draft for the Ducks. I did like Sanique's expression when he was picked. He was shocked, and he said "Holy fuck!" and now and now the Ducks are selling a T-shirt, and they're having it, and it says "What the," and instead of "What the Duck," but it says "What the" with the Ducks logo. So the Ducks the Ducks are doing it right. I thought that was hilarious. But I like these picks. I think they did good in the first round. It was an interesting thing because it looked like Bouillon was going to be the guy that the Ducks were going to pick. That's kind of what they were saying leading up to it. And then that day, it was all out that, they're going to go with Sanique. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what they're going to do, and that's what they ended up doing. So it was just interesting. It wasn't like last year where we were like, okay, Carlson, Fantilli, okay, who's it going to be? It's one or the other. This was just kind of a weird thing where we talked about 5 or 6 names on the last show and threw them out there, and we're being honest, we're like, well, shit, we don't know which one they're going to pick. It could be any of these guys, but I was happy with the picks. I just thought it was interesting because with both of these, they're guys that aren't probably going to play in the NHL this coming season. Maybe Sanique squeaks in there, possibly. I don't know, but I like the picks, but they're just not as NHL ready as obviously Carlson was last year. So I don't know. I'm happy, but my expectations, I guess I would say, are a little bit tempered, Eddie.
So Mike, yeah, I think the theme of the draft was holy fuck. Seeing it in person, well, not kind of in person, but I did see it in person. That kid was he was shocked. The Ducks fans were shocked. The people next to me were shocked. I think half of Vegas that were drinking and tuning into the draft are even just not even thinking about it. But knowing the Ducks did this and pulled this audible, were shocked. But we have to sit there and trust the Ducks. People were shocked and giving him a hard time about Leo Carlson. We saw him play this season. We know how special that kid's going to be. McTavish is another one. And everyone's glad we got McTavish. This might be the whole diamond in the rough of the pick we got with our 3rd overall. Shane Doan was talking about, the boys on Spit and Chicks were talking about Shane Doan mentioning that this player might be better than Celebrini. That might be the stiller and sleeper and the best player of this draft. Once he gets his fills into his form, I guess he grew like 5 or 6 inches real quick. He has some more growing to do. Once he builds that NHL frame, it'll be kind of like a 1-2 punch, Perry, Getzlaf kind of players, but more talented and skilled. And I'm happy about it. I trust the Ducks management, but like I said, everyone was just shocked. I was sitting next to these 2 guys that do a podcast and a YouTube show called Big Apple Hockey. Shout out to them. Really cool guys. And they were just as shocked as I were. I think we all had the Ducks picking them 9, 10. This guy from these podcasts told me that they had him going at 10. And it was just like, my mind's like, okay, great pick. I trust you guys. But why not trade down? You already knew, I want to say picks 1 through 5 or 6, we're going to not get him. Like, if he had other teams trying to trade up, and you couldn't just trade down, get some assets, and get the player you wanted. Let's say at 5, Montreal wanted that Demidov guy. They were all in on him. They wanted him. The Blue Jackets, they wanted that another physical player, that center, to get a 1-2 punch. They were going for Lindstrom. The Utah Hockey Club, too, they were big on Ty Ginla. The Calgary Flames tried to trade up to get Ty Ginla and offered some substantial assets. So I want to say 1 through 6 for pick. You could have went easy with Montreal or the Utah Hockey Club, and they want to make a big splash and name for themselves. So you could have kind of just traded up for them. Hey, I'll offer, flip the first rounds, throw a second or a third, fourth. A third and a fourth, not just a third or not just a fourth. But something could have been done. I think that's what frustrated me the most about the draft. Them trading up to get this Stan Solberg, big kid, and him talking. He likes to hit. He wants to hit. He wants to be physical. The Ducks wanted these skilled and physical players, and they got them. I'm gonna put my trust in the Ducks and what they've been drafting, so we can go and I guess we can judge this in a few years. I don't think both these players are NHL ready whatsoever, so we have to let them marinate. But the best kind of steaks and meat that you eat has to marinate. You can't just throw it in the grill for 5 minutes, take it out, and expect it to be good. I had a question, too, I wanted to answer from Chris J. Campos. He asked if we had any favorite Ducks content creators, any recommendations. Okay, so with me, I stay away from any Ducks content creators or podcasters because I don't want any influence to come from their show to our show. So that's why I stay away from those specific ones. But good question. There's a lot of good podcasts out there. I would just browse around. Spittin' Chicklets is one of them. Just find ones that you like. Start venturing out to other shows, other podcasts, because you can learn a lot about these players. So when they eventually, if they ever get traded to the Ducks, you already know about the certain kind of players and who they are.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to try to go with the Ducks stream, actually. I really like what they have done, so I listen to theirs. So I go with theirs, and then I'll listen to, obviously, Elliot Freeman and Merrick on their podcasts for information. For me, it's a time issue because, obviously, Eddie and I have jobs, and this is what we do on the side. So I can't really sit and listen to all these podcasts all the time, unfortunately. So even like the 32 Thoughts and the Merrick Show and stuff, I'll only go on there and listen to like the specific Duck stuff. I don't listen to the whole shows because I just don't have the time, to be honest. And I'm with Eddie. I try not to listen to anything else that's similar to us. I know there's a lot of other ones out there that do a great job and stuff, but I want our thoughts just to be our own. So that's my recommendation. But those are the kind of the three. I go to Duckstream, 32 Thoughts, and the Merrick Show. A couple other small ones here and there, but just kind of getting back at the draft real quick before we kind of go into some other stuff. I'm with Eddie too. It's kind of hard to determine. Some people try to put a grade on this. I was talking to Thomas about this, and I think this draft is a little bit more difficult because those first couple guys, I don't think we'll see them this year in the NHL. I do think, looking at these picks, if you look at all of them, you've got a lot of forwards in here. You've got Lucas Pettersson, you've got Maxim Massey, you've got Ethan Procession, Tyler Smith, Alexander Blaze. I like that, the last name Blaze. That's pretty cool. Austin Bernefik, and then Daryl Janskis. So you got these guys in here, and the big theme. I'm not going to go into detail on all this. We've got a lot to cover on the show, but you can go back to Thomas's article, and he breaks all this stuff down. But the same theme is kind of coming up here is the size thing. All these players are like 6'2" or bigger, practically, except for a couple. I think Blaze is the only one that's under 6 feet. So, it's like the average height is like 6'2" on all these guys. Also, Solberg, there's some people that have compared him to Gudis, but there's other people that have compared him to Nicholas Kronwall. So, yeah, about getting Kronwalled. So I'm really excited about Solberg. They said, a little bit more offensive upside than both those guys too. So I like that. in there. So that's just kind of my take on this. I don't really know how you evaluate all these picks. They didn't take any goalies in this at all. They took a lot of forwards, and then obviously a handful of defensemen as well. So they kind of replenished their stock in those positions. But I'm with Eddie. I don't know if they tried it, because obviously we never know the full picture, but they could have possibly traded down that third pick and gotten Sneak later, because on mine I had him as like 8th or 9th, and that's why we didn't really discuss him on the last show. And Solberg, I like him, but a lot of people had him going in the second round. So I don't know why they necessarily wanted to trade up just to get him, unless they really thought that he's that big of a difference maker. I mean, then great. I like both the picks. But I'm with Eddie. If they could have tried something a little bit there, maybe. The other trade that they did that was interesting is they had the 164th pick, and they actually traded with LA, which was so weird. When I heard that on the TV, I was like, wait, we're trading with LA? And then they had the 182nd and 214th, and that's where they got Brnovic and the Yuyanskis. So, it's kind of interesting that they did do some moves and make some trades. I'm happy with the way the Ducks did the draft overall. I don't necessarily think it was as strong as last year's, and that's just really based on the fact that you got Carlson, and Carlson was already playing right away, and I just don't see that happening with Sneak or Solberg at the moment. So the other part that was kind of weird about this, and Eddie, you and Aaron didn't know about this because you guys were there in the Sphere, and when I had a little bit of free time in between my family stuff that was going on, what was interesting is after Solberg was picked, Emily Kaplan gets on there and talks about how he's not probably going to be in the NHL for another year, and then decides to go on and talk about how he's not going to play with Zegras because Zegras doesn't fit the style of play that Verbeek wants, and then says, well, a trade is inevitable but not imminent. So I just thought that was a weird part of the broadcast, watching that. It's just kind of interesting. It drew a lot of reactions from a lot of people. Obviously, the Zegras stuff has been out there already, but that's the only other part of that on the draft I have. If there's anything else you want to wrap up with, Eddie, otherwise we'll move on. But I just thought that was just kind of a weird comment in the middle or towards the end of the first round of the draft.
That just kind of shows her credibility, or she lost all credibility as an analyst or whatever you want to call her. I guess we can lump her in with the Frank Saravalli. Like, even if you have something to throw that out at that time, a time and place, I want to say. And that was just kind of a stupid comment by her. And she's usually really squared away with her comments. But I don't know if she's just dating Frank Saravalli, and she just wants to pump his tires on national TV and say that. But that was a dumbass comment. And I don't think she realized how stupid that was, but it's just, we don't know if it's trade to him. She doesn't know Verbeek unless she's over there hanging out with him, having some mojitos or something. You don't know what he wants. Verbeek wants to win. If Zegras goes out and put 100 points per season, but he puts, 10 hits per season? Who gives a damn? If he's putting the points in production, we can bring the big players to go and help him out and guard him, then so be it. It's just, I don't know if she just got put in the spot, or you know what, Mike? I know what it was. It's Vegas. We all get inebriated too much in Vegas, so she just probably drank a few of whatever martinis she was drinking and said some dumb shit out of her ass.
Yeah, it just was a weird thing, but
unprofessional thing.
Yeah,
too.
It was weird, and then not to add fuel to this, but this came up. So after that, on Sunday, they had the flock party, which I was actually able to go to that, because all the family stuff that I was tending to was on Friday and Saturday. So it was kind of nice to go, and I saw a lot of people, Jen and a bunch of my other friends there. We got to hang out, a good time at the flock party. If you went, it was a blast. But what was interesting about the flock party was they did another jersey video. They played it again for all of us there at Honda Center if you didn't go, and then Zegras wasn't in the video. So I just was like, I don't put a lot of stock into that because when the video first came out, everybody was freaking out about Gibson not being in it. And I was like, well, like 2/3 of the team is not in the video. Like you have like Fowler, you have Carlson, you have Terry, you have Gudis, you had Zegras. Like, there was only like 6 players in this video. It wasn't like a lot of the players on the team. And then everybody was like, oh my God, Gibson's not in it. I'm like, yeah, Gibson's not in it. And so are like 12 other guys. Like, I didn't put a lot of stock into that, but I thought it was weird that they then showed another version of the video without him. So that was kind of weird. I don't put stock into it normally, but it was just kind of different. But if you went to the flock party, it was hilarious. We posted some of the quotes and things on there. I was cracking up when Sneak got picked and he said, holy fuck. And then you had Kent French talking to Solberg. And Solberg talked about playing Gudis in that international tournament that they just had. And he talked about getting in a scrum with Gudis and how they're yelling fuck you to each other. So I was just dying laughing. And Kent French was cracking up going, hey, we got kids here too. Like, let's keep it clean. It was that part was super funny. These guys have a personality. They are hilarious. Cutter flew in that morning to be at the flock party. That was amazing. He saw some people with some signs. He talked about them out there. I won this raffle that I didn't know I was entered in, and I got to go hang out with him and take a quick photo. And it was funny taking the photo with him because Cutter was like, oh man, we should all be on our skates because, you're taller than us. And you could see in the photo I posted, I'm not that much taller than him, but, I am a tall guy. So I thought it was funny, joking with them and everything. And they all have personality and they were just hilarious. It was just kind of Comedy Central. But if you went to the flock party, it was a lot of fun. That's where they talked about, like I said, Aaron Teets talking about the logo and how they spent all the time. Took photos of those jerseys up front. I posted them all. You guys all saw all those. You're welcome to share them, at will and whatnot. But it was a really great event, Eddie. I don't know if, the only other part, well, I'll save this part. We'll talk about the free agency in a second. I'll talk about what Verbeek said, and we'll go into that. But I didn't know if you had any other comments of what you thought about the jerseys, the photos that I took, or anything about what the players said during the flock party, Eddie.
I love the photo you took. You looked really happy, and I'm sure it got your mind off a lot of things. And once again, my condolences to you and your family. So it was good. It was good to see you have a good time and just get that experience. Cutter, the little cocky son of a bitch, I love it. He's gonna come in. Like I said, I think he'll be a Calder finalist. And the personality that you talked about off our show, and then what I've seen online and what you're talking about right now, I think fans are gonna love him. And I think that the Ducks hit this out of the park, and this is going to be a forever lopsided, we won this trade. No disrespect to Drysdale at all, but I think that we needed a player like him, and Drysdale just had to be expendable and had to go. So that's really good to see. And I wish I were there, but yeah, I had the Vegas flu, kept flying back, and then I hung out with my brother and a few friends and kept the party going after Vegas. So. But yeah, and one more thing before I get off this subject, with the little F-bombs and hit those kids here. Remember back at Knoxbury Farm when they had the little kids club party? And then Lindholm was saying, he's throwing like an effing train or something?
Yes.
I was ever one of them said that, and they were like, everyone's face was like, well, even Wild Wing put his little thing in his mouth like, dude. Oh, man, this team's going to be fun. It's frustrating. But this team and the personality that these players are showing, it's going to be a fun time. And I can't wait to talk about these players and what they talk about winning the Stanley Cup sometime. That's going to be one of the best podcasts that we ever do in our lives.
Oh, I agree 100%. And that kind of shifts into, the whole free agency thing and what the Ducks are doing or not doing. But Verbeek at the Flock event, again, talked about getting a top 4 defenseman, getting a top 6 winger. He mentioned that stuff. And then day 1 of the free agency came around, and not a lot was happening in Duckland. A lot of people were upset online. I kind of tried to stay offline. I did post Donald Duck pulling the sheet over his head and going back to sleep because I could tell that's kind of what the mood was. But Not a lot happened. Obviously, little things like the Ducks brought back Lundestrom. They did sign Leeson and Vakanainen to 1-year deals, but they didn't really bring in anybody new. on that day, people were kind of losing their mind. Then you had Eric Stevens on the Athletics say that, hey, the Ducks went big on Stamkos and Marchessault. They did not pan out. Those both went to Nashville. So you had that part of it going on. And then you had players that they didn't qualify: Jones, Bo Grew, Lindstrom, McLaughlin, and Tracy. Some of those guys are on other teams, which we'll save that to a little bit later. We've got the Where Are They Now former Ducks segment, which we'll talk about. But people were very, very frustrated on that first day. And then the Ducks announced some moves on day 2 and day 3. They made a trade on day 2, another trade on day 3, and they also signed separate players. So they ended up trading a 2026 fourth-round pick to Seattle for defenseman Brian Dumoulin, and then they signed forward Jansen Harkins. That was day 2 of the draft. Then day 3, they traded goalie Alexander to Detroit for Fabbri and a fourth-round pick in 2025, and then they signed Carson Mayer. I do like what the Ducks are doing. I mean, Verbeek swung for the fences and it didn't work out. It sounded like he tried to go for some other players too from some other reports out there. We're not really sure who else. We know Stamkos and Marchessault were there. We can kind of talk about some of these players on here that they picked up. I think the Ducks have improved. I think they've helped the defense a little bit. They've helped maybe the bottom 6. So like when Eddie's talking about the excitement and how they're going to be this year, I think they are going to be better. You can see in the draft that, Verbeek's going for size. He's going for guys that play physical. These guys that he picked up, Fabbri's a guy that can play physical. Meyer's a guy that can play physical. Harkins is one too as well. Dumoulin is a good penalty killer. So, I mean, they picked up these guys that fit the mold. I do like what Verbeek has done. Is it where he said he wanted to go? No. He did mention that at the flock party. Kent French was asking him about his plans, and he said, "Hey, what I want to do and what I'm going to accomplish, those are two different things." So I give him a little bit of leeway there, but I would like to see a little bit more, Eddie. But what do you think? What did you think about who they qualified and didn't qualify, or maybe some of these trades and signings? What are your thoughts on how it's gone? I mean, we're only we're recording 3 days after the free agency. So what do you think?
The Max Jones thing hurt, just like every other fan in Anaheim. That was as a fan, he should have been qualified. He should have been a Duck. But as a realist and just talking straight up hockey facts, it was a good move not to qualify him. I think the Ducks will be better off without him. But, however, I think Max Jones needs to change the scenery and he'll thrive. And him going to Boston, I think that'll be a good fit for him to rejuvenate his career, his style of play, the physicality. The Boston Bruins have always been known for the big bad Bruins and a tough and hard team to play against. They kind of lost that. They beefed up their roster with the moves they made. Mac Jones will fit into that. Great. It's a competitive team. They're going to make the playoffs next season, and I think he'll be a big factor. And I'm glad that they took him, and congratulations to him. Lundestrom, I'm glad they got him. Let's see what we can do with the healthy him. Leeson, we know what we're getting. Vakanainen, we both know what we're getting. So those are good. The qualifications, no problem with that. The moves, the trades. We got a good defenseman, a stay-at-home defenseman. He's not going to be the top 4 defenseman. He's in the bottom 4, but he was a season away of having a career high of 25 points when he played in Pittsburgh. Yes, Pittsburgh. And he could shut down on that bottom role. He'll be a player that if he just plays his game and gets those minutes, which he'll probably be bumped up to a bottom, or a top 4 row, or maybe a top row with the injuries the Ducks have always had. We could probably flip him for a draft pick to a team that wants a 5th, 6th, or 7th defenseman that can actually be a stay-at-home defenseman and play that way. We can get some assets for him. Jansen Harkins, I didn't know a lot about him, so I had to go and research that. I hate when people just sit there and tweet or text, who? Like, dude, just do some research. Stop being a fucking asshole. Like, that irritates me. Like, if you're that lazy and you can't do it, then just bye, dude. Go watch basketball. Go watch freaking LeBron James and his little weird son that got drafted play. But I think it's a good move for the bottom, fourth line. Physicality, and that's what Verbeek wants. He wants that the Ducks to be tougher to play against. Fabbri, I like that trade. Yeah, I know it was a little bit much, his cap space, and he's a bottom six player for the Red Wings. But the kind of player he is, and both these players too, Mike, that you did text me about, they're both Stanley Cup champions. They're bringing winners to this team. They're bringing two players that know how to win, that been there. This team, and I'm not throwing it out of their character, but this team's full of losers. Our Ducks haven't won shit. They haven't won anything. They're used to losing. They're used to being out of the playoffs. We need to bring players that been there, that been to the show, that been to the prom, and were named prom king. Like, we need that. We need those players to get fired up. Tell us the stories. Oh, what did you do when you won your cup? This is the stories. Get these players fired up. Teach them how to play hockey from winners. And I like these moves. Fabbri, I like him because he overcame adversity. He was out for a whole season with the ACL tear and other injuries he had. People were saying that he wasn't going to come back. He came back. He won a cup. He signed a good, lucrative contract with Detroit. Obviously, it didn't work out. And Detroit traded him, and we got a fair deal. We got him and a fourth for a goalie that wasn't going to play for a long time. Our goalies are locked. And Gibson's probably not going to go anywhere. Gibson will be 85 probably playing for the Ducks. The way they're not going to trade him. So why not do that? I think it was a win-win for everyone. Detroit got Tarasenko, and if all goes well and stays healthy, he puts up good points, good numbers, and we can flip him out at the trade deadline and get even more assets. I want to say, was it David Perron came from the I think we got him from the Red Wings too, and he came when the Ducks were actually competitive and made the playoffs. But he came in and kicked ass too, so hopefully we have that good luck of trading with Detroit and getting a player that can really kind of pay dividends for the team. But I think he's a good character guy. He brings the physicality. He has the speed. And from what I've read and quotes from his teammates and what he's been through, he brings a lot of heart and determination and no quit. And you can't ask for anything less than that in a teammate to help these young kids grow.
Yeah, you made some good points in there. The overcoming adversity is a big thing. The other part of it too, you talked about is these guys Dumoulin and Fabbri both have won Stanley Cups, and I think the issue that some people are talking about with Marchessault and Stamkos, there's reports out there that the Ducks offered them more money or more term, along with some other players that didn't come to Anaheim. And I think that's been part of the issue that some people have asked us is like, why aren't the Ducks getting some of these players? What's the issue with that? Is it I had our buddy Ducks71583, he asked us about the tax stuff and things like that. And I think that's part of it. I mean, you got Marchessault and Stamkos, they talked to each other. They went to Nashville. No state income tax. You've got that down in Florida. You've got other states like that, like Nevada, Montana. There's ways to skirt around that and get more bang for your buck out of these contracts. So I think that was part of it. But I think part of it, too, that you talked about, and it's a reality. Some people might not like the term, but talking about being losers, well, this team has been for a while, unfortunately. I mean, let's face reality. I mean, we've sucked for a while. I mean, that's what it is. So, if I'm this all-star player like Stamkos, and I want to go to another team that has a chance to win. Obviously the money part is a factor too. But am I going to go to the Ducks or am I going to go to Nashville? Nashville's not a cup contending team, but they're definitely in a better position than the Ducks. And there's a lot of teams in a better position than the Ducks. So I think that's the hard part for Verbeek is trying to navigate that and bring in guys that have one that can mentor these guys, as you were talking about, Eddie, and you've got two guys that can do it. And I feel like they're also trying to fix special teams a little bit here, too, because Dumoulin is good on the penalty kill. He gets a lot of assists. He's plus 96 in his career, and he averages over 20 minutes of ice time. So I don't know if he's necessarily the top, 4 defensemen that Verbeek wants. Maybe he's like the number 4 or 5 out of the 6, depending on where the Ducks are at. We've got also a lot of left-handed defensemen too, so I'm kind of curious to see another trade maybe coming and the Ducks move one of those defensemen to try to get that top 6 forward. but I like Dumoulin. He's got 1 year left on his deal, $3 million, not a big deal. He played in Pittsburgh for 10 years, played in Seattle the last year. I think he can definitely help out this team. He has some offensive capabilities as well, and he's won before, and I think that's the big thing that you talked about, Eddie. Fabbri, his health is the concern, but Fabbri's a gritty guy, also a guy with skill. Is he a top 6 guy? No, he's not. He's probably a third-line guy with the way the Ducks lineup looks now. Barring injuries, like Eddie talked about, that's also been a pain in our ass basically the last couple of years. Maybe he squeezes in as a second line type guy, but that's what I like. I like how they brought those guys in to do that. I feel like Harkins is the guy that's kind of to replace Carrick. I mean, he's not going to score a lot. He's a grit guy. He's going to play on the fourth line. He's going to hit people. We love Drysdale, but he knocked him out. He's a guy that's willing to do that. Carson Meyer, I think, is more of a depth signing out of all of these, but another guy that's willing to play hard and be difficult to go against. And that's kind of the theme that Verbeek has been going with. So I think we made strides, but I really, really want to get one more guy in this that's going to make it, and that's what some people asked. We had Hannah Laura Mansfield was like, only 2 players signed. What's the plan? Obviously, we also got the trades in there as well. I think the plan is still to try to bring in somebody that has playoff experience, like Eddie mentioned, and is that top 6 forward that can score and be hard to play against. And I really think that's what we're missing. If we can get that, that would be huge. We had Yohei, it's Chris, ask, not much going on free agency. What about making a big trade like Draisaitl, Rantanen, or somebody smaller like Palmieri? I don't see any of those happening. I just don't. I mean, I do think that there's going to be some kind of trade. There are some other free agents out there. Some of them are gone, but I wonder about Henrique, and what's his deal. But you've had these other guys, Perry staying in Edmonton. You've had Sprong, who's been on the Ducks before. You had Shattenkirk's been on the Ducks before. You have some of these guys out there, but I don't know. The pool is getting thinner. I don't know. I'd like to see one more guy in there, but what do you think, Eddie? Anybody out there that that you think that the Ducks might be able to get to fit that role? Or, I mean, is it going to have to be a trade? I just think that the free agency stuff's getting kind of narrow now.
Yeah, and that was a really good question about from Ducks 71583 about the high state taxes. But I think it goes further than that from California. California with the high, definitely the high taxes, that's going to diminish your whole money. And you think of it, you have to pay 20% to your agent, or even more. I'm not sure how that goes. You got to pay other taxes. You got to pay your house. You have other special things you need to pay for. And not to be political on the show, but the political climate of California, it kind of hinders the people's quality of life, even people with money. And if I were a pro athlete, and I know Bar Down Sports threw out a thing saying if you had if you were a pro athlete for hockey, which 6 teams you wouldn't play for? Mine would be the Ducks, the Sharks, the Kings. Number 1. I'm a number 1 Ducks fan. I've been a Ducks fan since '96. My dad took me to my first game. But what California is right now, I would definitely not play here. I would make more money playing for Texas. I'd play Vegas, Florida, Nashville, and have a better quality of life. And I think that factors in with these players too, because they have families. They don't want their families growing up in an environment like this, and I think that really hindered it. I think Verbeek, after what Eric Stevens posted too, because he's a really credible person, he doesn't post bullshit. He'll post the truth 110%. But I think these players, and I think Verbeek did try to go after these players, but they don't want to come here. And I don't blame them. This team, the product on the ice is not good. I guess the analogy I'll put is prior to COVID, you went to a restaurant and you paid good money and decent money for good food. After COVID, you're paying more money for a lesser quality of food. And I didn't think that's what the Ducks are right now. They're not appealing. Even the Kings couldn't get that many strong free agents to go sign with them. It's too much money. Like, honestly, the only reason why I'm still in California is because of my brother. Because we just lost our dad, not even 2 years. And I own a business here. But once my brother says that he's done with that and wants to go, I'll be the first person to leave California. Because it's not a good quality of life place. And I really, really 100% think that's one of the big major factors that these players don't want to sign here. Stamkos, that would have been cool. I've been a fan of him since he got into the league, and that would have been great to have him. He would have really boasted our leadership and came and did something. But Verbeek tried to get him. Marshall Show from Vegas, he tried to get him. We couldn't. Nashville offered something more. They offered the term questionable in my opinion, but they offered him something better. They offered him no state tax. They offered better quality of life and a chance to win. And what players don't want to take the opportunity to do that for themselves and their family? I can only hope that this team starts being more competitive, that attracts more of these free agents. We're like, hey, I want to be in Anaheim. All we have right now is Disneyland. It's awesome, but it's too populated. It's too packed. But, man, Mike, I can go on forever for this, but free agency was just nuts. What happened and the moves that made, $1.2 billion spent in 90 minutes? Holy crap. Elon Musk couldn't even spend that much money in 90 minutes. He's one of the richest people in the world. I wish those players the best of luck. Stamkos, those fans are pissed, Mike. They're really mad. I guess the whole issue was the term for Tampa. They offered lower term. And fans have to understand, and I get this too. I get pissed off and emotional. You guys heard me on this show numerous times, but hockey is the business. They got Jake Gensel, and we'll talk about more of that when we dive into more of the free agent stuff, but they got a younger player that can produce just as much, a similar player to Stamkos. It's part of the game. It sucks. We all were pissed off when Paul Kariya and Teemu Selanne left. We have to just get over that feeling and trust our management to know that they're doing the right thing. I mean, the Ducks, I have trust in Verbeek, and hopefully he does the right thing. I know we're all pissed off at him right now because the product on the ice with this roster come October isn't going to be anything, but who knows? He can make some moves. Maybe there's another plan under his sleeve, but you just got to put trust in it. Mike, I'll give the mic back to you before I really start going in on what I feel about these Ducks and these moves.
Yeah, I hear you, and we'll get into the former Ducks here in a second. I'll just throw some of the names and some of the teams out there to watch and see. Detroit didn't surprise me because obviously Verbeek's got connections there. He's got connections with Tampa Bay as well. So obviously you're always going to want to watch those teams. The teams that are having trouble with the cap, you've got the Capitals. You have the Golden Knights, the Oilers, the Leafs, and the Predators. They're all kind of in cap binds right now. So those are teams just to watch if the Ducks are going to try to pull someone off of their roster. I would pay attention to those. In terms of the players that are listed on Cap Friendly, which, oh, by the way, Cap Friendly is going to die soon, unfortunately. The Capitals bought them, which I know a lot of you are not happy about that either, and I'm not. But some of the ones that they have left, if we're looking at forwards that can happen, to fit this mold maybe that they're talking about. And it's kind of problematic because these top point forwards, you've got Pavelski. He had 27 goals last year, but he's also 39. I don't know if that, the age thing is kind of a thing. I don't know if that's a factor.
Well, he actually he actually announced that he's going to retire, but he hasn't officially announced it. So I don't think he'll be back. And I think if he comes back, it's not going to be for the Ducks. And his production for the playoffs, his age came out. He was an ageless wonder, but I think that one we can scratch off the board right now of him playing in the National Hockey League next season.
No, I'm with you. And it was funny. You took the words out of my mouth. That was what I was just going to say. Is like,
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I just was like, yeah, I think he's going to retire. So I was going to take him out. Sprong is one that played on the Ducks before. He's 27, had 18 goals last year. I don't know if they something to bring back. That's one they've talked about. Let's see. The other ones that are listed on here, you've got Tyler Johnson, had 17 goals last year. He's 33. There's some of these guys out here that you can look at. Van Riemsdyk has always been a name that's been floated around with the Ducks that could be out there, so you can look. I was going to say Tarasenko, but he's off the board now. He went to Detroit. There's not as many. Okposo is on there. There's just not a whole lot. Zadina. There's just a handful out there. There's just not really a whole lot to look at. But those are just some of the names that I would say. So, just keep an eye on those. Hopefully we get somebody else. But I don't know. It's looking like slim pickings right now. So, kind of add insult to injury. We added a segment. Eddie actually researched this, and we added a segment. We talked about some of these already, but it's the former Ducks and where are they at now?
Well, can we go back real quick, Mike? Quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know that Yo hates Chris about the free agents. Palmieri, I'm not one to step back and date an ex-girlfriend, so I would never bring back a former player or a former coach. Rantanen, the Avs are never going to go from him, and Drysdale won't go to the Ducks. Another question from Deezer Olde. Is there a real chance to trade for Nikas or Laine? And Nikas is interesting. Do the Ducks can make some move for him? I don't think he's physical enough for Verbeek. And Laine, I don't think he takes hockey a lot seriously. I think he's a lazy player, and I just don't think he'd be good for the Ducks to make them move forward. I think he's more focused on himself and his attire than actually playing hockey. I know he went through some mental health issues, so I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he finds his peace in his life. But I don't think those are going to work for us. You mentioned one thing too, Mike. I wanted to talk about Zadina. He was with that one drafted player, and I forgot where he originally got drafted from. But he told all the other teams, "You're gonna regret not drafting me." Little cocky guy, but he hasn't produced. He's still young. He's like 23, 24. I would take a chance if I were Verbeek, a bigger guy. He hasn't played the physical game, but maybe him, Zadina, knowing that he's getting to that point where you're not going to play in the NHL anymore unless you change your game. Look at Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He had a horrific season, got bought out, trained his ass off, signed with Florida, and won a Stanley Cup and played a totally 180 game. I don't know if this is a player that can do the same thing, but if I were Verbeek, I would go take a chance on him because right now there's a lot of doubt on him, and his NHL hockey career is on the line. It's either you'll sign with one more team and try to make it work. If not, you're done. You can have fun in the AHL, the coast, or go to the KHL. But I would if I were the Ducks GM, I would take a 1-year contract at $1 million or lower to take a chance on him, see if he can rejuvenate his career and they can get something out of him. Look at Colorado got Niskanen. Besides the whole drug issue and him going the road he is, and I wish him the best of luck with him overcoming addiction. But he paid dividends for the Avalanche, and he rejuvenated his career. And this could be another player. Zadina could do that. So, yeah, that's what I want to say. Then now we can go to our news segment of this.
No, yeah, all good. I didn't know you had more, so it's all good.
No, I had to throw that out there, Mike. I don't know if you want to just comment on the few players I talked about, or.
No, you're good, man. You covered it. You're good. We said our stuff, kind of look at those, and it's a thinning free agency pool. It's kind of what's going on. So I'm curious to see if some other kind of trade happens, and if one does, like I talked about, I would think a Ducks trade from a left-handed defenseman would be involved in that somehow. But other than that, the free agency pool is getting narrower and narrower. So. We still have our league news that we're going to cover here too to wrap up, but just before that, we'll talk about just kind of the Ducks too, and the former Ducks and kind of where they landed during free agency. Just a reminder, we're part of the Old City Sports Network. check out all our sponsors. They're in the description box below with all the codes and everything like that. We've got a lot of sponsors in there, so make sure to check them out. But the free agency, we saw a lot of Ducks leave. We talked about Max Jones was gone. He signed in Boston. You had Perry stayed in Edmonton. You had Henrique also stayed in Edmonton, which I was kind of surprised. You had Carrick and Bo Grew went to the New York Rangers. So you've had these guys that either were traded away or didn't re-sign. They've gone to other teams. You've got Seattle's got some players now. You've got Montour and Mahora now in Seattle. They really went big on Montour, giving him a big contract there. Stolars and Hakapa went to Toronto. Agazeno went to Utah, and then a couple others went to some other places as well. You also had Cogs retired. I'm really happy for him. I'm glad he won a cup with the Avs. You had a lot of them in the Stanley Cup final too. Also, congrats to Florida for winning, which kind of goes into the league news too. That was a wild Stanley Cup. Florida went up 3-0, and that was just crazy. It looked like they had it. Edmonton blew them out, 8-1. Came back, won all his games, forced a Game 7, and went down literally to the final seconds, which was crazy. But congrats to the Ducks on there that won. You had Montour, Mahura, you had Kulikov that was only there for a short time, and Stolars. They all won, which is crazy because they all left Florida except Kulikov. Kind of interesting, but I was happy for Florida. But what did you think? Any of these things surprise you? Some of these players, where they landed, Eddie, or if you want to talk about the Cup, what do you think?
No, it was cool. I was choking and throwing up because I did not want Rico to sign back with Edmonton. I just I can't stand them. Like, I don't know why their fan base irritates the shit out of me. They're just I don't know. If Canada wins the Cup again in their country, a Canadian team, I'll pick the Ottawa Senators. For some reason, I love them. I grew up there. When I was a kid, I loved their logo, so I love that. Or even Vancouver, but Edmonton is just. I'm sorry, you guys are a piece of shit. I'll throw it out there. So my bad. I'm glad Montour got that big contract. He's worked his ass off, and he was a fan favorite for the Ducks. So I'm glad that he's over there and he got that contract. I hope he delivers and gives him success. That's gonna be cool for him. As far as everyone else, Stolars, oh, man. I didn't want him to go to Toronto. For some reason, Toronto always screws up their goalies. Sherwood to Vancouver, I don't think you talked about. Sherwood's always been a really solid, good player. Meat potatoes, he just works his ass off, so I wish him the best of luck. As far as that, Mike, you mentioned one thing too. Once we're getting into the league news, the cat friendly thing, right? Oh my God. The Capitals paid a lot of money, and I guess these brothers have an algorithm that is like no other. Cat friendly guys have been a resource for everybody. It's gonna suck to see them go away. The Caps, as a business standpoint, are smart. They're taking away an asset and an algorithm that other teams have an advantage, and they're taking it for them. Smart thing. And these brothers that did that, and they actually took an algorithm, not took it, but there was another person, I forgot what the website was called, but he passed away. But they got that from him. Caps did a good job and smart thing. As fans, it sucks. So I hope that Puckpedia they really step up their game, because we're gonna miss cat friendly, and I hope the Capitals just put an audible and change the algorithm so they're not showing too much, but show the fans that what we want. Like, Mike, at this point with this website, cat friendly, I would pay like a monthly fee to get all the news and what they offer. So that was the biggest news. Cogliano too retired. That is great. Cogliano has always been a fan favorite for every team he's been in, for the Ducks and the Avs. And, of course, the Avs are my favorite team, too. He won a cup. He's staying over there in a scouting and player development person. So good luck to him, and I think he'll have success, and he'll do a really good job in his role, and I can see him being in upper management and doing something in the near future. So that's good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm happy for Cogs, and yeah, the cap friendly thing was weird. Yeah, you're gonna have to basically go with Puckpedia now. I think that's really your only option. I think you're right, Eddie. As a business model, they could have charged money on cap friendly and really raked it in. I mean, I've been using cap friendly for a long time.
Everyone has, Mike.
Yeah,
even GMs,
I mean,
even GMs use that. That's
yeah. I mean, it's a great resource. So you got to turn to Puckpedia now. So let's see. We got all kinds of stuff around the league. Just to kind of wrap up the show and cover some stuff, we'll talk about some topics here. Different things that kind of came up. We did talk about Zegras and Gibson a little bit earlier. It's kind of interesting. Detroit rumors that they showed interest in Gibson, but they got Gage Alexander from the Ducks. They signed Jack Campbell. They have Husso and Lyon as well. So they got a lot of players in net. I don't really know how that would work. It doesn't seem like Gibson's really going to get moved now. I don't know. It just kind of seems like that's dead in the water. I know he wasn't in the video for the jersey, but. There's that floating around there. Then there was more rumors too. I saw one today, and Eddie and I were talking about it, about the Rangers and Zegras. That one's kind of been a big one. Trouba's been rumored. So is that something that's possible? I don't know, but they've talked about Zegras in New York, I think, for like the last year or so. So those are just some of those like immediate rumors to look to. Another one that's been thrown out there, which Eddie and I would like probably kill ourselves, is that there's been mention about the Ducks taking on Evander Kane because of like I mentioned, the whole cap situation. You've got some of those teams to watch for that are tight up against the cap, and the Oilers are one of them. If the Ducks take on Kane, I would lose my mind. I don't want that guy. There's too much controversy surrounding his off-ice stuff. I don't want him, and I don't want to take that guy's salary on. But those are kind of. I guess those are really the ones that I've heard recently, with Ducks players and stuff like that. Everything else has just been kind of quiet now since Verbeek, took his big swing and a miss on some of these other big time players. But that's I mean, you can still sit there and think about Gibson and Zegras. I don't really see anything happening with those, and I know you guys are all tired of the rumors, but we put them on the show because obviously it comes out there, and we want to talk about it, and it's league news and stuff like that. But that's it for the Ducks rumors. The other part of this too, we're talking about Edmonton and how much we don't like them. What did you think at the end of Game 7, Eddie, when McDavid did not come out to accept the Conn Smythe Trophy? There was people that defended him, people that attacked him. What was your feeling like that? Because there's a guy named Zegras who may or may not have lost the Stanley Cup against New Jersey and came out and took a photo with the trophy. So what did you think about that? It was kind of an interesting moment at the end of the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, just to go back on we're talking about the whole league news. Detroit actually signed Cam Talbot too, so they have 4 goalies. So
ridiculous.
They have definitely a surplus in that. The whole Trouba rumor too. He has a team, 15 teams that he wouldn't want to go to, and rumor has it that he doesn't want to go to the Ducks or go to California. And I will reach out to the Big Apple Hockey podcast. They're a New York podcast, and talk to them about that and pick their brain. If anything happens with New York, we will do a little dual podcast and go into that. But I know New York is really, what they said, they're really interested in Zegras. And why wouldn't they be? Like, he would be a talented player and kind of boost their thing. Evander Kane, he's the kind of player I like, a physicality, but his off-ice antics are just terrible. The allegations of gambling and the videos we've seen of him, of the physical abuse to women. I'm sorry, I don't condone that at all. If you physically abuse a woman, then you're a piece of shit. That's all I can say about that. And you know what's funny, Mike, too? We talked about this. I want to say congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning the Stanley Cup, but not one team at the draft said that. I don't know if they're salty or just or whatever, but that was the whole thing. That was weird about that. Now going back to what you just talked about, the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe, people are pissed off. Number one, at the fact that Connor McDavid won when he was like shut down for the last important games. But he did do a lot, and the Conn Smythe is the overall performance of the playoffs, and I think that he deserved it. Like, I'm not an Edmonton fan; I can't stand them, and sometimes McDavid irritates me. But he really, what he did, the points he did, him actually stretching that out to Game 7, he deserved it. Now, here's where I'm 50-50. I respect Jaguar, and I love Jaguar. He was one of our Ducks' best goalie, and it took a lot of guts and effort, class, and professionalism to go out and accept that Conn Smythe after that loss. McDavid didn't go out. It's different. It's different ages. Back then, hockey players are different. Back then, the adults back then are different. This new generation aren't the same. And I'm sorry to say, that's how it is. They're not better or worse. It's different. McDavid did stay out until every one of his players walked off or skated off the ice and gave him his ahoy, hey, I'm sorry. Jaguar was making comments too about how when he went and accepted that whole Conn Smythe, and everyone saw the picture, he was fucking crying on that picture. I have a fucking signed picture of that, and I'm sorry I'm throwing the F-bomb, but I know his pain, like the pain he felt, and him to go out there, yeah, that speaks about his character, but you can't kind of downgrade someone younger like McDavid for not going out. Like that's not fair. He was there for his teammates. He probably went in the locker room and was trying to console his teammates. Jaguar stated that he left that Conn Smythe in the hallway, and he didn't really want to go out, but he did it. And it's just like, this is the one point where I'll defend the Edmonton Oilers and McDavid, where I don't think it was wrong. He shouldn't, if he didn't want to go out and he wanted to be there for his teammates as a captain, he should have done that. It's like, Mike, you fell off your bike or you had something going on and I won an award. You're my best friend. I don't care about this podcast sometimes, but I care about our friendship 110%. If there was something going on in your personal life or anything, I would give up any award I get, any recognition I get to be there for you. And I think that's what McDavid did. And I think people just gave him a hard time because Edmonton Oilers are Edmonton Oilers and they didn't like him. So I'm not defending the Oilers. I'm defending someone as young as McDavid that got thrown that C on his jersey, and he did a good job as a leader. And it wasn't his fault for not going out there and accepting it, because he wanted to make sure all his teammates were in the great state of mind and well-being. He wanted to pump their tires and say, hey, you know what? And I'm pretty sure I can bet my whole bank account right now that McDavid said the whole locker room that the reason why they didn't win the cup because it was his fault. Because hockey players take responsibilities for their own actions. They don't blame anyone else. And I'm fully 100% backing McDavid for not taking the ice and getting that Conn Smythe.
For me, it's tough. I'm kind of 50-50. Yeah, I get all the things that you're saying with him, being the one to talk to everybody going off the ice and being the captain and being everything. So I don't fault him for that. But I also think it's like, hey, man, you could just skate out there 1 minute, take a photo, and skate back. So I look at that too. I kind of see both sides of it. I'm not as amped up about it as other people. I'm like, oh my God, Connor McDavid's an a-hole. Like, not like that. I see both sides of it. I think it's tough because I have two different mindsets. One is like what you said, Eddie. It's about the team and that aspect and being there for them. You're the captain. You got behind 3-0 in a series. You take responsibility for that. You did push back and get him back to Game 7, which, they threw all those crazy stats up there in all the professional sports, how it's like 1% of 1%, come back and win, and they were, one goal away. It's pretty crazy. That was an intense series. I watched all those games. Very, very exciting. So I have the mixed feelings, but I'm with you in terms of the recognition. I'm one of those that people know me at my work. I've been a supervisor now for 2.5 years, and I don't like the limelight. I don't like recognition. It's not. I appreciate it, but I'm not the one that's like, hey, look at me, like I did awesome. I don't. That's not a big deal to me. And so for him to be, in that position, to go be with the team and not worry about the individual effort, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. I think that it's a personal choice, and that's what he decided to do. There's no like rule that says, oh, you must skate out and shake the hand of the overlord Bettman and take a photo. So I think he did what he felt was right in that moment, and that's what he decided to do. And for me, I don't know what I would do in that moment. If I was, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a real difficult situation to be in, and I think at that time it would be the emotion that I feel to decide on that, whether I would go out there or not. I think more of me would go out there, but it also depends. I don't know. If I was in that situation, we got swept in 4 games, or was it 7 games? I mean, obviously with the Ducks it was 7 games. With Edmonton it was 7 games. Similar situation. Jaguar's not the captain. McDavid is the captain. There's things you can look at and compare, but I think people need to calm down. I think it's more a personal decision, and I don't. I know me. I probably would have gone out there just to go out there and take that quick photo and run back. Not because of the limelight or the personal whatever, but just to kind of suck it up like Jaguar did. But I don't fault him for not doing that, so that doesn't bother me. But yeah, I mean, what a great series. Very weird too, like you said. There wasn't anybody at the draft really saying like congrats Florida. It was kind of weird. Another weird moment at the draft was Logan Thompson being announced for a scheduled autograph session, and like 15-20 minutes before they said that he got traded. Like, how awkward is that? Talk about another situation where he's now told that he's traded, and then yet he's got to go out to this booth and sign everybody's autographs, which he still went and did. That's another weird situation. And then his answer about being traded was I don't know, it was kind of vague. Well, as far as like if he wanted to be traded or not. So that was another weird situation that happened recently too. And he went out there and signed the autographs, but it was even more weird because he's on Vegas and the draft's in Vegas and they have a booth set up for him. I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a weird situation. I don't know if you saw that when you were there, Eddie, but it was just kind of weird on the TV when they announced that.
Well, Mike, the whole thing that I saw Logan Thompson at one of the bars and I got hammered with him. We were drunk as hell. I'm so kidding. No, I'm so kidding. Okay, so the whole thing is too, like reading more into this, per the contract, what he was doing with the card company signing the contracts, he was signing it for the Golden Knights. As long as and there's the clause in there, as long as you're part of that team, you'll fulfill that contract. Obviously, he's gonna get paid for it, but it's a contract of the Golden Knights, and you're part of that team. Once he got traded, he had no obligation to stay there and sign, but he did. And there was a bunch of pictures and people, and he was smiling, taking pictures. He didn't have any animosity, and I know those emotions and feelings were like, what the hell? But he still stood there, as all hockey players do, having the class and just that gentleman-like for their fans. So that was good to hear. I think the Golden Knights, great team, and I'll support them, especially after the Vegas tragedy, and they were there for their city, but a time and place. I know Logan Thompson requested the trade. He wanted to be out of Vegas. He wanted to be somewhere else. And I'm sure he'll thrive and be happy in Washington. I'll pick him up in my fantasy goalie because I think he's he'll be one of the top goalies in the league next season over there. But like, you have an event scheduled and you're gonna announce it, and he has to find out on his phone or from fans or from family while he's signing an event. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are kind of trending to a classless organization for their players. And even their fans are pissed off. Well, Marchessault, I talked to a lot of their fans, and they wanted him to sign. And I think the Vegas Golden Knights fans that I talked to, and I talked to a lot of them, they're getting tired of this shit too. And that's just bad business to do. And like that's just, Vegas will be one of those places where players won't want to sign. Yeah, no state tax and the whole luxury of living in Vegas, but you do things like that and screw people over. It's not right. It's not good business. Like hockey, don't burn your bridges. That was something really crazy to see, Mike. But I'm glad that he took it like a gentleman, a true professional, and stood there for his fans. I wish I were actually at the arena when he came. I wish I would have met him and just talked to him. That would have been fun. Mike, too, another thing about the draft, too, I didn't mention. I text you, but I'll throw it out on the show, too. You have a Draft 24 shirt, Mike.
No,
I got it for you. Hey, yeah, you're gonna have that, too. I got my shirt. I got my draft glass. But, yeah, Mike, I wanted to get this shirt for you because you do a lot, and a lot of fans don't know how much work you put into this show, this Ducks and Pucks product you made. So I want to do something nice for you all the time. Like, you never ask for anything. You take me to games. You give me tickets to games. So how you are to promote hockey for the Ducks and everyone else, and how you are to your friends, and you're such a selfless person. Lisp. So yeah, I wanted to do that for you, Mike. I love being part of this show because of you. So I wanted to show my gratitude, and I think all fans listening too, that coming to the next season, we should be grateful to have you to advocate for the Ducks hockey and building one of the best podcast and blog that covers the Ducks hockey. So I wanted to give a shout out to you, Mike, and thank you for that.
No, I appreciate it. I wish I could have been there with you guys. Obviously, I had some personal stuff going on, and the only way that this works is if we have a team, right? And, you've helped out a lot covering stuff. Aaron's helped out covering stuff. Thomas in the summer, he just kicks ass doing all the articles and everything. That it's a team of people that work on this to get it done and put it together. And there's some other good things coming this next season that I'll hold off talking about, but there's some stuff coming. One of them I'll mention is we got more hats in. We've got the Ducks and Pucks hats, but in the purple color. I was trying to get them during the season last year and just kind of didn't work out. But we've had several people sign up on Patreon, and I thank you guys. If you do go on patreon.com/DucksandPucks and sign up as a paid subscription, you will get one of those hats. We have the custom black hat with the Ducks and Pucks logo on it. And then we have the purple one. You will get one of those, and also you're entered into free tickets. I give away all my preseason game tickets, and I give them away first to the Patreon people, and then after that I just put it out on social media. But also game tickets as well that'll be offered up to people. So if you want to join, please do that. Appreciate the support. But we'll have other stuff. We're still going to be doing stuff with Noble Ale Works, who's been a big supporter. Josh, who's a manager over there, is a good friend. There's some other things going on that are kind of in the hopper right now that I'm not going to go into because I'm going to wait till closer to the season. But I've had some people reach out to me recently, and I'm really excited about some other things that we're going to put together and try and work on. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm glad we're able to do this show. And it's all about you guys out there. You ask us the questions, we do all that. I met some new faces at the Flock Party. You guys were fantastic. I just try to promote Ducks hockey as best we can, and provide an area where you guys can interact. We put out those poll questions for you, let you guys debate it and whatnot. You guys really love the jerseys. You guys like the old logo, but you like the new jerseys and things like that. And that's what it's all about. is putting out, positive vibes. I mean, yeah, we'll be critical at times, but it's always good to get different opinions and debate these things, and it's all because we love the sport of hockey and we love the Anaheim Ducks, and that's what it's all about. And Eddie, you have been part of that too for a lot of years, and that's what we do, and that's basically it in a nutshell. And I just thank everybody for all the support.
Yeah, you said it best. Like, oh man, it's just now. There's times I've been like just stressed out. Sports too. With all of us, it's an escape. Like we want to get out of life for a little bit, and we want to just cheer our favorite team. Mike, you give me the opportunity, so I love to always pump your tires and tell you, because I go through a lot, and I'm really open in the show about, like, sometimes I deal with mental illness and just stressed out, like, from the military and life in general. So I love to talk about it. I love when fans, like, write me up or hit me up and tell me about that. So, yeah, I love this show. I love going on from it, and I hope we can move forward, and I hope the Ducks can move forward, too. And get some better players, Mike. But you know what? I'm looking forward to the next season, doing the podcast with you again, cracking open some beers. Hopefully we get some beer sponsors next season. I'm working on that. We have some other league news if you want to talk about that, Mike, or we can talk about the next show.
I think we're good. I think we can wrap it up. I mean, really, I think the only other thing I kind of wanted to mention, maybe right before we close out, is just the situation in Arizona, Eddie. That's kind of a frustrating one. I feel bad for the Coyotes. I wish it would have worked out better for them. I'm excited for hockey in Utah. I think that's going to be fun next season. That's actually who the Ducks are playing in their home opener. The schedule's out there too if you haven't checked out. So I'm excited about that. But I feel for the Arizona fans. You talked about how we pump up the Ducks fans and do all the stuff on the show and everything, and now Arizona doesn't have a team, and their owner had that 4 or 5 year window of what it was to bring back the team, but he messed that up. He messed up the land thing, and now they don't have a team, and that's just kind of unfortunate. I'm hoping at some point to get hockey back in Arizona, because anytime a team leaves a city and it's gone, it's just not a good thing. So that's probably the only last thing I really wanted to say before we close out, and then I'll throw it back to you before we wrap up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Arizona fans, I feel for you, and I'm sorry. I met a lot of you. I went to a couple of games over there, and you guys were the awesome people. And the logo, I really believe something will happen where you'll get your team back, and a great owner will come and give you the recognition you deserve. And it just grows the game. Utah, congratulations again. Looking forward to going over there, seeing you play the home opener. But you know what? I'm going to go over there in Utah too and watch that in the stadium. But yeah, I think, let me see, look at my notes, Mike. Yeah, that's about it. We had a good show, and we're going to keep going from there. And I think the last thing we talk about too, Mike, the whole U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland competition going on, the 4-country face-off. They're going to do that, and then the year after that, we're going to have the Olympics. So I think that's something that will grow the game, because not only hockey fans will watch that, you'll have other fans, or not other fans, but other people watching that too. So that'll be fun. So I guess my sign off would be like, thank you for everyone to listening, and looking forward to talking more hockey this season. Hopefully the Ducks will do something. Jason Trudeau,
absolutely.
Nick Cousins.
Yeah, we'll sign off for now, and then everybody enjoy your 4th of July and the holiday weekend, and then we'll see what other moves come up, and when those happen, we'll do another show. And until then, let's go Ducks.